So I'd like to welcome you to our orientation about the grant application. The application is due on Friday, September 13th. And one thing that we'd like to really express is that funding is not guaranteed. Just because an application is turned in, it is not guaranteed. And if your organization has received funding from previous years, it is not guaranteed that you're going to get funding again. We are really holding to the point of we want outcomes. We have to be good stewards of our donors, and we have to be able to give them outcomes of what's happening with their donations. So just one of those big things, that's why it's really big up there in red, is that we just want to make sure that you understand that it's not guaranteed. So one of the requirements is a copy of your audit, and if your budget is $50,000 or less, you don't have to worry about a 990, but we do require 990. And then also copies of the application, standards of excellence, and I know there's been questions of previous years we haven't turned in a standards of excellence, please turn in a new one, because we would just like to compare if there are any changes. A current 501c3 letter, we need those for our audit. We have to turn them in to verify that who we are giving funds to are truly 501c3s. A list of board members with term beginning and ending dates. An annual report. Now I know some organizations, especially if you're a more grassroots organization, you may not have an annual report. Even a sheet with some pictures of here's what's going on in our organization from 2012 would be great. So it doesn't have to be expensive layout of this is what we did. Just a little brief blurb of this is what's going on from 2012, or if your a fiscal year is the July to June, this is what we've done the last 6 months. Just something to give a little bit more tangible visual to the R&D committee. And your annual operating budget, so your most recently approved, and then also if you have a strategic plan or summary of strategic goals, we ask that you also put that in. Okay?
Do you want us to ask questions now or wait till the end?
I would wait till the end. So
Okay.
let's go through it, and then if there's any questions that come from there, then we can do that. So the brief history of your organization, most of you should know the history. And what is your public value of your organization, and what was it created to achieve? So for example, with CASA, you know, we have children that have had, they've been abused and they don't have a voice in the court system. So this is where CASA derived. So being able to give a little bit of history of how that organization came to be. Providing an organization's mission statement and a brief overview of specific programs and services. It doesn't have to be your whole kit and caboodle, okay? It's 250 words. So it doesn't have to be the whole program. It can be, this is what we're about, and this is what we pride ourselves in. Okay? That's why there's a word limit. Okay? Amount requested. So we ask that it's not to exceed $35,000. Does this mean that you're going to get 35? Probably not. Does it mean that you're going to get 30? Maybe, depending on how strong your grant is and how your site visit goes. What percentage of the organization's total operating budget does your grant request represent? So that is what you're requesting divided by your total budget.
So it's what we're requesting, not what we've previously received.
Correct. What you are requesting. And then if you have a specific project name, you may not have a project name, and that's okay. If it's for general operations, that's okay. You can claim it as however you want, but you don't have to actually put it down a project name. And you don't have to make something up just because you don't want to leave that blank. So impact areas. This is probably your easiest thing that you have to do. Check a box. Okay? So check which impact area that you're going to apply for under successful youth, healthy communities, or strong families. what you want to make sure that you do is whatever target outcomes that you want, that they are very similar to those target outcomes that are listed under those impact areas. Okay? So in question number 7 of the grant, it says, how does the proposed program and services align with United Way impact area, targeted outcomes, and operating principles? So impact areas, youth, families, community, you have your targeted outcomes, and our operating principles are basically our standards of excellence that are at the back of the grant. So how do those all tie in together to align with United Way? Question number 8, how will this proposal advance the mission and strategic objectives of your organization? So that's where we sort of want your strategic plan to make sure that this really will go with what you're saying your organization's doing. We want to make sure that it supports it, and that you're not just creating something just to get funding. We really want it to make sure that it supports what your mission is. And then a really good one, number 9, is how are you collaborating with other people? That's the newest thing, is people want to do collective impact. They want to make sure that they have a lot of organizations that are working together. So if you do have that, list it. Be proud of it. A lot of people, especially in our small communities, don't want to play in the same sandbox. We need to get past that. We need to play in the same sandbox with the same toys. And so how are you going to collaborate with other organizations to maximize your resources? Okay? It's a new concept, I guess, a sandbox, right? All right, so number 10 is our logic model. And if you look, basically, we want to really point out that bullet points are strongly encouraged. A lot of times the grants are submitted with just running paragraphs in this logic model, and you can't line up what's going with what. So either bullet points or numbering, something that will show us what is matched up with the next category. So for example, and this is in your grant, as a sample, you don't have to turn this in, but to improve school attendance and academic performance. So then what are the strategies? Conduct pre-assessment surveys, regularly scheduled meetings. Those are specific strategies to help improve attendance and academic behavior, performance. And then your targeted outcomes. What's the percentage of students that you plan on improving? Okay. And then how are you going to collect this data? For me, the most important thing that we're going to be looking at is the targeted outcomes. What are you planning on doing with this funding that you're going to receive? And then how are you going to collect that? Because you can say, well, we're going to do this, but how are you going to capture that? Is it the number of people you're going to serve meals? Well, how are you going to collect that data? Okay. So in your grant, there are 2 blank sheets of the logic model, and that's just to give you enough room. You don't have to have those 2 blank sheets filled out completely. That was just to give enough room to provide enough space for your information. But you don't feel compelled. If you've done it in 2 bullet points on 1 page, by all means, don't turn in that other page. Okay? We like it clean and simple, to the point. So the budget, this is the part that everyone freaks out about, the budget. Your total budget that you put down is what you're requesting. So that line item that was towards the beginning, I believe it's question number 3, that should be the same as this total budget that's down here. We do not want the total budget of the program. We just want, what are you going to do with the funds that you get from United Way? You see the different categories: salaries, benefits, operating, travel, subcontractors, other. If those categories don't fit in, that's okay. You'll be able to explain it in the next budget detail sheet. what is it? If it's for positions, or if it's for material items, or if it's for utilities, or just general operating costs. If it's for indirect, which please don't have it all be for just indirect. But if whatever it's going towards, this is where you'll actually explain what the budget's for. Okay, so again, I'm highlighting down at the bottom. This should total what's equal on page 9. So if you see the total budget should equal what's on this page and also what's on question number 3. Pretty simple, straightforward. Standards. The standards of excellence, if you look, there's E's and R's. If you look at it, what's expected, what's recommended, we know that not everybody has all these things in place. Okay? Even organizations that have been here for many, many years don't have all these things in place, and that's okay. So I don't want you to feel that this is going to cause us to not get a grant. But what I do want to make sure that you take the information from your standards. So for example, if you're looking at the bottom section where it says standard, mission, and vision, and you have the organization has a written mission statement. I would really hope that all the organizations would have a written mission statement. If you don't, then you would, on the best practices inventory, write down, we're revising it right now. That could be what's going on. And so we're planning on having a revision done by October 30th. And our board and our CEO is the one that's handling that. Okay, that's okay, but make sure that you list that. We want to make sure that organizations are constantly revisiting their policies, making sure that they're up to date. HR policies, how many times has HR changed, right? We want to make sure that you're on top of that because that makes your organization stronger. So again, please don't hesitate, and if you're not under on an E category, if you're not meeting that E, it's okay. Just make sure that you're putting down a plan of action. Okay, so the process, you're probably wondering what the process is. So there's 3 teams.
3 teams, 1 for each impact area. Of all those impact areas, there's a team lead. The team lead is in charge of those 6 people who are reviewing those 3 impact areas. We all review them, so last year we had 6 or 7 applications each, which is again why we emphasize not only the structure but the bullet points brief, because people are coming from all over the community to evaluate these applications and assist us through this process of R&D. All incomplete applications will be reviewed here and transferred to the review teams, and if they're not funded, we'll let them know. That's why that deadline is so imperative for you to hit that. What's October?
September 13th.
September 13th. Yeah, deadline. There's no points for getting it in early, but there is a drawback to not getting it in on time.
Right, and we've had organizations that have been here after 5, unfortunately, and their application was not funded. Poor Mary Jo. So please make sure that that you have it here by 5 o'clock. We will stay till 5, but make sure that it is turned in, preferably even early, because that would be better. But what we'll do is, if you mail it in, just double check that we received it. We check our mail, but if it's during the weekend, we don't get our mail. We have to wait till the following Monday. So just make sure that we receive it. If you drop it off, we actually do a sign-off, like what we do with our quarterly reports, just to verify that we have received it. You have a receipt in case we goof on our end and lose it. Then there's a paper trail for you to make sure that it's turned in. Okay? You want me to keep going? Okay. So once applications, we as staff go through them, we double check that they're all complete. If they are complete, then we pass it on to the committee, And from there, it is the committee that determines who gets funding and how much funding. From there, site visits are determined, and the committee has decided that this year any organization that's not been previously funded will definitely get a site visit. And then any of those organizations that have some transition, so a new CEO or a new exec has been struggling, anything like that that has been throwing a little bit of red flags, we want to make sure that we do a site visit with them. Audits sometime will throw that red flag, so just as a heads up, if you've had a qualified opinion, then it might cause a site visit to occur. And then what we'll do is we'll contact you and we'll plan 2 weeks out to have that site visit occur. So I just giving you the months of October, November, because that's around the time that the site visits will occur. Please make sure that you have a board member, preferably board president, because they're the ones that are signing off on this grant, and your CEO or exec that are present in this meeting.
And you will be contacted by the team leads of one of those impact areas to set up that appointment, because each team is different and competing schedules. We want to make sure that the people doing the reviewing have an opportunity to be present for the review.
So after the site visits are done, the plan is by November there's going to be recommending or denying the funding. Once we know who will not be getting funded, there will be a letter that will come from me to the organizations. And if there is recommended funding, then that goes to the board, and that will be in our December board meeting. That's a little bit different. In the past, it has not gone to the board until January, and so you usually don't hear about funding until January. We're trying to make that goal where you'll hear in December to be able to adjust your budgets accordingly, because I know what that's like. So we're trying to adjust that. And then contracts will also be coming out at that time. Okay. All right. So questions. I know that there's questions out there. What we'll do is we can do a question answer, and then if you have any other questions after today, please just email me. What I'm planning on doing is with this PowerPoint, having it on our website, but also having questions that are coming from everybody. So just in case there's something that you may not have thought of, it'll be listed on there, and it'll just give you a little bit of background of, oh, yeah, that's how I should answer that. But please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions about the grant process or the grant itself. We are here to help. I am asking, though, August 30th be the deadline. So that way we have our breakfast and our fundraiser are around that time. And so I need to focus completely onto those things. And then that following week, the grant is due. And so if you don't have your questions before then I'm really sorry, I won't answer them. And that breaks my heart because I really want to help you guys. So try and get any questions that you have after today's meeting. Just email them to me and I will get back to you. And then, like I said, questions received will be posted. And then this PowerPoint and the recording, my goal, don't hold me to it, my goal will be that next Friday it'll be on there. Hopefully we'll all make it happen.